I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
And Jelpy and whoop, Ghosty.
What happened to Jelpy?
No, Ghosty was head first in the cup.
We got a Christmas in, what is it?
December.
we got a Christmas in December coming up.
We do. I'm very
Speaking
excited.
of Jelpy, well, I think I have an idea of
Don't tell me.
what one of them are going to be. Be on the lookout for that. Also, for timely topical political commentary, you can hit us up in Middle America with Vin and Sori. I should be up and running pretty soon here. I keep saying that, but I keep getting dragged into other situations.
True.
Okay.
Very creative mind. Shout out to the big homie Gary. He's the one that picked this song.
Yep.
We have a $75 partner tier on Patreon. You jump on there. 1 month gets you one song reaction bumped to the top of the list.
The front of the line.
Yeah.
You get to, it's like...
We're a little weird right now because we did that giant rockathon, but we'll catch up.
Yep.
Have no fear.
Yeah, we shall return.
Yeah, so, Victor, one of our patrons, he was like, I sent $100 on the PayPal thing, but I guess I missed the rockathon, so will those songs come out on the next rockathon? I was like, what? Gotta check PayPal. I'm like, oh no, how did we miss this thing? So he had said, hey, where do I send the song? Where do I send my request? So I'm like, send them to me, and we might like shoot like a little mini with those 4 songs. A little mini rockathon for him. Something. We'll make it up to. He said he loves our channel because we're so honest and genuine. He likes seeing the attitudes and stuff. I said, did you see the beginning of the second rockathon? Vin was all sour.
If I'd have known that you forgot his thingy, I'd have been even more sour.
True, but if it was at the beginning of the rockathon, I didn't forget about it.
But I got happy toward the end of the rockathon.
You came around.
Anyway, I came around. All right. This is SABATON. This is
nothing fake here.
SABATON's actually one of my favorite bands.
Well,
so.
You're in luck.
There you are.
You're in luck. Ready? Go.
Yeah.
We're dim in lies and paralyzed, my brother's eyes are gone, and he shall be buried here, nameless marks his grave. Mother home, get a telegram and shed a tear of grief. Mud and blood in foreign land, trying to understand. Where is this greatness of it told? This is the lies that we've been sold. Is this a worthy sacrifice? Great war, and I cannot take more. Great war, I keep on marching on. I play the great score, there will be no encore. Great war, the war to end our wars. Standing here, I'm full of fear, with bodies at my feet. Over there in the other trench, bullets will my name. Whoa. Lead ahead, as the captain said, and show them no remorse. Who am I to understand? What have I become? I do my duties, pay the price. I do the worthy sacrifice. I know my deeds are not in vain. Great war, and I cannot take more.
Respect.
Very good.
Inshallah, they don't block the video. That looks like an official video.
Oh, yeah, well. That wouldn't be good. Speaking of blocked videos, you know what? One of our patrons was saying, you guys should react to Baby Metal and just put it on Patreon. I could load it up to Voodoo or Vimeo.
Vimeo?
Yeah, that. Anyway, it's another discussion for another day.
You think there's enough interest in Patreon for Baby Metal?
We could put out 1, 2, see how it goes.
Alright, well, we'll do that later, I suppose.
Anyway, so, I mean, this one was pretty self-explanatory, I thought. What?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it's about World War I, because World War I was dubbed the war to end all wars right there. Mm-hmm. The war to end all wars. And it was kind of that horrible middle ground between us getting the technology to become more efficient killers, but having tactics that did not reflect that. And so there was a lot of bloodletting. Mm-hmm. Just, of course, now looking back strategically, you're like, how could you do that? But again, that's the confluence of technology and strategy.
Right.
And, you know, to this day, I mean, that's a major... There's at least 2 or 3 alphabet groups that are devoted to that stuff. And this is really weird to me. Like, when you figure out how many alphabet groups there actually are, and you're like, well, wait a second. Where is that in the defense budget? The defense budget is pretty large. And,
oh, yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I mean, that's the war to end all wars. I wish, you know, like, again, like, you know, we're doing that in the Bible bookie about, you know, like, genocide in the Old Testament, and like, you know, the numbers were just crazy, you know, like 25 dead. Yeah. It's like, oh, 30 people fell here and da-da-da-da. It's like, you know, you had arrows and you had bows and arrows and you had, you know, whatever. So if you saw your team losing, you just run. Mm-hmm. And you know, basically you could get away with your life. It's not like that anymore. You know, watch the WikiLeaks video. Yeah. Dude's just getting completely, you know, this technology, man. Like once you kind of cross that threshold and open that box, it makes you a much more efficient killer. And so unfortunately, you have this whole concept of like a world war, and then you have all these young kids, and then they were talking about it like up here.
Beginning.
Something about like a glorious war or something. Oh yeah, where's the greatness I've been told? This is a lie we've been sold, yada yada yada. And it's like,
is this a worthy sacrifice?
Yeah. And of course, no doubt dudes are thinking that way, but of course, you know, in World War I, I think World War II to me would be like the only war I'd be in and be like, yep, if I live or die, or my friends live or die, like this is a worthy cause. These motherfuckers are trying to take over the planet Earth. Like this isn't you. This is what you've read your entire life in the comic books. These are evil geniuses, you know. I mean, literally, the Nazis were geniuses. I mean, that's, say what you want. They were the most brilliant people on the face of the earth at the time, and you know, so that to me was like, that would be, you know, after 9/11, there was a lot of like, you know, these are the people that did this to us, yada yada yada.
Yeah, a lot of people were like that. Yeah.
It's like, okay, yeah. At the time, you're just blind with rage. Like somebody, we're gonna put
somebody's
blood.
Gonna have to pay.
Somebody's gonna have to pay for this shit. And really, you didn't really care, civilian or not. I don't care. Somebody's gotta die.
Well, I guess it depends on who you are. Like, I mean, I didn't feel that way. Like, I was angry. Like, this is our country. You don't come in here and like do that. Like, but I didn't think civilian or otherwise. I was just like, get those people that are doing that.
Yeah, but when
I know.
I remember.
But at the time, I thought that you could make a separation.
I remember it was on Fox News, and the first guy who had done a gun run over there in Afghanistan, they had him on the thing, and he, you know, he wasn't in an AC-130. He was in I think it was an F-15, and you know, it hit a Taliban stronghold, you know, and you know, he was all, hey, you know, and I'm like, yep, let's go. I want to see more, and you know, like.
trying to get my feet up. We went to the gym for the first time in 1,000 years today, and I'm a bit sore.
I don't know if, the line between propaganda and the media reporting the news.
Yeah. I'm good. My shoes are smelly, and so I was trying to move them from.
We're talking about warfare. I can deal with your smelly feet. It's
okay.
fine.
All right, carry on.
The line between propaganda and the media, I think, it's not as simple as people may, think it is. I know I was completely propagandized by Fox News right after 9/11 because they kept showing the planes crashing into the buildings and then the next thing they would show is a bunch of Green Berets jumping out the back of a hutch. And, that's all you saw over and over and over again. And it's and then of course they'd show the clips of the Middle Easterners supposedly celebrating the 9/11. So, and of course they gave you no context. They never explained to you why they were celebrating 9/11. They never explained to you that, hey, we unilaterally supported this country that has been committing human rights atrocities on these people, and we have done nothing to help these people, and we continuously unilaterally support this group, and so they've lost family members, and if you did it, per capita based on population, they've had multiple 9/11s, and you didn't bat an eyelash. So they're happy that it finally happened to you. There was none of that. It was just clip of planes going into the World Trade Center, clip of Arab woman, we're
not gonna have that.
Supposedly celebrate. I don't even know if that was actually an accurate clip. But then on the other side of it, it's when you hear about guys like Winston Churchill, etc. And the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, and that was media. He was using media.
Yep.
And it's interesting. I don't hear people talk about Winston Churchill as a propagandist.
No.
I mean, that was World War II.
Yeah. But
nobody's calling him a propagandist. But it was complete propaganda. But, there's good propaganda and there's bad propaganda. It's just like with psychological operations. There are some good psyops. For example, with Fallujah. You drop a whole bunch of pamphlets and say, here's a dead mujahideen, or here's a group of dead mujahideen, and then they show another picture of a guy with his family, and they're all have a nice little turkey on their table.
Fled and they
said, look, we're going to show up in 5 days. Anybody who's a fighting age male is going to end up like this. If you go to another city, you'll end up like this guy. Make a decision. That's good. And if you just look at the history of warfare, that doesn't happen.
Well, why? Because
you're just going to kill them.
Yeah.
Period. There wasn't all this Geneva Convention and trying to help civilians and all this shit. There's none of that. But my point is so it's talking about these kids. I'm not saying kids, but probably kids who were being propagandized. Where is this greatness I've been told? I think it was the Spanish-American War, where the guy says it's going to be a mighty glorious war or something like that. That's how young people think. That's how young men think. I was talking to my brother, my brother's Marine, and he's like, yeah, of course I want to go over there and fight. Of course, and I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad he didn't have to bear that burden of killing or dying or burying his friends. But I mean, he had folk from his group that went over there and didn't come back, and But when you're young, man, so I've always been about the whole concept of propaganda and all that. Anytime you hear it, people automatically say it's bad.
Well, yeah, it has a bad connotation to it. I agree.
But it's sometimes you need propaganda to kind of overcome your, whatever the collective, zeitgeist is at the time. Because at the time, for example, when Churchill was out there, he was the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. People were scared to death of these Germans, man. They heard about the Blitzkrieg. They heard about the U-boats. They heard about the technology. It's man, we can't stop these guys. And then you had people saying, oh, we need... And again, that's World War II. It's not World War I. I'm just talking about the whole concept of propaganda and how it relates to warfare. People were scared to death. You know, they were dominating in the on the ground. They had some legendary fighter guys up in the air. They were out there in the water taking care of business. I mean, people were scared to death. And there's one dude. I mean, obviously you cannot credit it to only one guy, but he was basically the voice of the steady hand and saying, you know, screw these people, man. We're not gonna surrender to these people. Like we're either gonna win or we're gonna die. And like, you know, he kind of.
Well, somebody had to
put some steel in the spine, and that's an example of propaganda, and I think that's an example of constructive propaganda. You know, so now you got these kids, and it's like, where's the greatness I've been told? Because every recruiter tells you that, like, you've got an opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
And you see all these videos, and especially now with YouTube, so there's like a track. Look at the music video of like sending people off to. I mean, it's.
My sister wanted to join up. I never had that drive.
You'd have been a good Marine.
Why?
If you could have just got over the people yelling and screaming at you, but there's just a lot, the attitude of the Marines.
Well, fine, but I think you're right. I have to get past being yelled at and being told what to do. I'm not good with that. I was like, are you kidding me? I've freaking been told what to do since the day I was born.
Right.
I'm like...
Well, there's other organizations that you could have been a part of and done.
But then, when you grow... Yes,
more effort.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, when you've been told what to do all your life, then all of a sudden you're free to do what you want, like more freedom, then you're like, well, wait, just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm comfortable with. I don't like it, but this is what I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
See, when I heard this song, I was thinking about like the mom home, get a telegram, shed a tear of grief, mud and blood in foreign land, trying to understand. And when it's talking about, and he shall be buried here, nameless marks his grave. That was like, oh my gosh. Because I think about, like, we have 3 boys, and I'm like, if one of our boys was just buried in some nameless grave, oh my gosh, it would break my heart. And I remember, I think it was you that was telling me this story. I don't know. I might even have the details completely mixed up, but there was like a mom, and she had 2 sons, and both of them went away to the war, and one of them died, and so they were trying to send the other one home because the brother. Did you tell me about this?
Well, that's the script for Saving Private Ryan. But
oh, okay, because I never saw Saving Private Ryan.
It was like 3 brothers, and two of them were KIA, and he was the only one.
Yeah. But he didn't want to go home, right? He wanted to keep fighting. And, like, I think about that, and I'm like, it makes complete sense. Like, for him to have to go home, psychologically, for him to have to go home after his brothers have been killed there, like, and he wants to, like...
Well, he had other brothers that got killed there, too.
Right.
Like,
his brothers, yes.
The guys in his unit.
But then I think of the mom's angle, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how heartbreaking. And there's got to be moms that watch our channel that have been through that and experienced that, and it's just...
I know my brothers. I know my brothers. If me and Junior would have died, Jamie still would have stayed. If Jamie and Junior died, I definitely would have stayed, and Junior would have stayed. Like, none of us would have went home. Mm-hmm. No way.
Right.
No way.
Right.
But you know, it's a movie. I don't know how true to life that was, but to your point, it's like, yeah. You know, I'm listening to this series on jihad by the big homie.
Right.
Anwar al-Awlaki, radiallahu anhu. But he was talking about that there was this story about this woman, and she had a son, and she basically said, you know, she told her son, the last thing she told her son is, inshallah, you won't come back to me. Because she was listening to this sermon about the Hor Lane, and these are these women in Jannah, you know, the virgins or whatever. And
like when they die and they go into their afterlife.
Yeah.
And these women for them.
Yeah.
Virgins.
They're called Hor Lane. And she was like, yo, I want to marry my son to one of these Hor Lane. And of course, the guy's like, well, maybe if he dies in jihad, then, you know, whatever. So she tells her son, and her son's like, yeah, I'm down. And so she's like, all right, well, she had like 10,000 dirham. I don't know how, it's currency. I don't know how much of it is, you know, whatever. So she gave it to the Khalifa at the time and said, this is the, you know, the bride price or whatever. And, you know, spend it on jihad. And then she sent her son, last thing she said to her son was, make sure, you, inshallah, you won't come back. So he goes off, and sure enough, he dies as a shaheed in jihad. So the commander comes back home, and so she goes to him and she says,
I literally have no idea where this is gonna go.
She goes, tell me good news, and so that I can laugh. But if you tell me bad news, then I will cry. And then the commander says, your son died on the field. And she started laughing. So the bad news would have been if her son came back alive, because that would mean that Allah rejected her offer to marry her son to the Hor Lane. My point is, it's just like, now you understand why this ragtag group of Arabs basically took over the entire planet
Well,
Earth.
Yeah, with a mindset like that.
From the 7th to the 11th century. They just... it's like... they're not like that anymore, by the way. Bin Laden, when we had him up in Tora Bora, he wasn't saying that shit. And Baghdadi, he wasn't saying that shit either.
I'm like... I don't know.
They don't make him like that
I feel like
anymore.
for myself, I'd be like, oh, that's really terrible what just happened over there. But my sons are staying home. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Like, I feel like, you know, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if there was a situation, maybe I would feel differently about it. Like or maybe I really am this type of a person where...
What?
You know, like, something bad happens for somebody else, and you're like, wow.
Oh, everybody's like that. Everybody's like that. Yeah, but their mindset was just completely different.
But at the same time, I think to myself, I feel like that there are certain things where, well, okay, I would feel a little bit differently. The draft. I am not okay with the draft. Right. But, like, if my son had a conviction about it, like, let's say it was, like, with the Jews and stuff, and he was like, Mom, like, this is so wrong what's happening to those Jews, and I want to go, like, blah, 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 blah. That's different if he's having a conviction. I would break my heart still. I don't want anything to happen to my boy.
The only time that I would say, okay, this is a good death is my son's died on the mission field. But I wouldn't be happy I wouldn't be happy in the sense that this one was happy.
I don't understand. If your sons went to fight to free the Jews, that wouldn't... Am I mixing something up here?
Well, World War II is not about freeing the Jews.
Well, I
the Americans, look, we you want to talk about our immigration policy? We had a bunch of them in Ellis Island, and we turned them all around and sent them back to Germany to get liquidated. There's your bring me your tired, whatever.
Yeah.
So, World War II was not about the Jews. World War II was they screwed with us at Pearl Harbor, man. They killed a bunch of us in Pearl Harbor, so now we're gonna join the war. That's what it was. Oh. This has nothing to do with the Jews.
Well, I'm saying if it was about the Jews and my son wanted to, you know, or some other, you know, people group that was being, you know. But I hear you. Like the mission field, that would set the easiest on my chest. Is that okay? They went to like, you know. Bring this message of hope
it's a pure death, and I believe that would be an indicator that group of people would be on the way to going
sealed in blood.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But
I get you.
But I mean, there's no situation in which I would do everything I could to convince him not to go. I'll tell you that.
To the mission field?
100%. And the reason my logic would be, especially Dorian, if he would defy me, that means he's absolutely convicted of God to go, and it's not some emotional moment. Because that happens a lot. Like, I'm on a thread with a whole bunch of missionaries, and they never have the team that they started with, ever. People get all caught up in the whatever, and then off they go.
How
many times do I tell you, I'm like, you were going to
be on the mission field? I'm like, listen, babe, there's a difference between if I'm overseas and I have to, you know, live in certain conditions, I'll do what I have to do. But I'm in America and I have you and you spoil me and I like to be spoiled. Why would I take a cold shower when I can have a hot one?
That's not even what I'm talking about, but yeah.
Anything. I just use the shower example. Yeah. But it's basically anything. Like, why would I, you know...
Yeah. Like I said, I would do everything possible to make sure.
You don't believe that I could serve. You'll see when you enter Valhalla before me, and you'll be like standing up there watching me. You'll be like, "Oh,
I'm certain you could survive." I'm not talking about surviving.
Wow, she was a lot tougher than I thought.
It's not about toughness. It's not about that. It's just
about calling.
Yeah.
And so you don't think I'm called?
It's about. Well, I mean.
Oh.
I mean, you're still in America, right?
Yes. Well, there's a time and a season for everything.
Right. But my point is, I would do everything I possibly could to discourage Dorian from doing that. Johan, there's nothing I could say. Johan would be somewhere else and tell me, "Oh yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. I'm throwing my life away in this island here. You'll probably hear about me in the news.
Throwing my life away?
I'll probably be dead." Yeah, I mean that's Paul Washer language, man.
What?
Relax.
What are you talking about? What do you mean throwing my life away?
Yeah, that's Paul. All the missionaries are saying that in 2012. I'm gonna throw my life away for the cause. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay.
Washer said, "Young man, God doesn't want your life. You can keep it." That's what he said to the kid. Paul Washer. Yeah, but if something like that's going to discourage you, then obviously you were not built for the game, man.
I see what you're saying. I'm just not going to do that.
I've just been.
Is it safe though?
Yeah, exactly.
It's safe.
I've been to other countries, man. It's pretty ugly out there.
How often are you going to come home?
It's pretty ugly out there, especially going in there. Look, it's the pinnacle of Christianity for sure. But it's not something that it's something that you got to make sure it's not just some little fancy or little phase that you're going through. So I would discourage the hell out of him. And if he still wants to go, then okay. What do you give the song?
It was a 10 for me. I loved it. I like this.
I thoroughly enjoyed the live sections of the video. I hope it doesn't get taken down.
I know. It's
a 9.2 for me. Sonically, really, like, instrument-wise, really, it was a good song, but, it's nothing like, whoa.
I like it.
So it's a 9.2. Good song. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Don't.